Life 2.0 is not a destination. It is not a place where you can go and take refuge from the world. Quite the contrary. Life 2.0 is a process. In nature, I've noticed that things are either growing or they're dying. Nothing exists in some level of stasis. And Life 2.0 is not some static universe where you can declare your autonomy and your authenticity and then watch TV for the rest of your life. Life 2.0 is about bringing you to the place where you can finally live your life from an authentic, autonomous place and experience the things that you need to experience for your personal growth and development as a man. That's it. Because Life 1.0 was offering you this facsimile of a life that was dictated to you by society, that your role was to provide and protect for a woman. Now you know it's not. Now you know you have the opportunity to live your life the way you want to. Today, we're going to talk about exactly how you're going to do that. How to preserve and protect Life 2.0, but how to keep it dynamic, how to keep it moving forward, how to keep your life headed in the direction that you've brought it so far. Let's talk about it. You can't ever let your guard down. And that's why the first two things we need to talk about in keeping Life 2.0 moving in the right direction are where we started the last video, and that's with your health and your money. Nothing happens without health and money. Health and money, that's the fuel of Life 2.0. These are things I cannot state loudly and clearly enough, that you need to get these things straight. You cannot allow yourself to fall into the habit or the vice of looking for excuses for your health or your money, because your excuses will not make Life 2.0 any better, trust me. In fact, excuses are the way people end up finding themselves being subordinate to something else. So rather than being subordinate to marriage or to a woman, you're going to be subordinate to poverty or to a healthcare system that is chronically broken. You've got to take ownership of these things. And that means that you need to be the one in charge. Unfortunately, with health and money, there's always scammers out there. And you got to be really conscious of that. So I implore you to do some real research. And that means you're going to have to, especially when it comes to your health and your diet, rather than me just telling you what to eat, because I know everyone's going to disagree. It doesn't matter what I say. Despite all my years of experience at this, nobody wants to hear that. But you got to do some real research. And don't do it on the internet. Don't go to YouTube and listen to some influencer tell you about how he lost 100 pounds eating nothing but chocolate cake. You know it's not right. I know it's not right. So why would you do it? Anyway, same thing goes for your money. Lots of scammers out there trying to tell you the right way to spend your money, and the vast majority of them have a vested interest in the way that money gets spent. So do not allow yourself to fall into those traps. So like I said in the intro, Life 2.0 is a process. It's not something that is static. It's about you continuing to grow and to shape your life in an authentic way. I can't tell you what that way is. This is something that you have earned the right to determine for yourself. For me to tell you that you need to date X number of women, or you need to have sex so many times, or you can't do this or you can't do that, that would be just me taking the autonomy away from you, and that would not be, that's not what this is about. This is about you finding your authentic self and living your life the way you want to live it. Now, I'm going to give you some guidance here, and this is obviously optional, but I want you to be conscious and aware of this, because the three factors that are going to be so important to you going forward are your health, your wealth, and your social/romantic life. And finding the right balance for those three things is going to be very, very important. The health and wealth are obviously underlying pillars. You need to have those things right, because if you run out of time, you're dead. Life 2.0 comes to an end, just like Life 1.0. And if you run out of money, yeah, Life 2.0 starts to suck. You know, you don't want to be on the dole from the government. depending on food stamps and social security checks to keep you alive and going. So you need to have a plan for those things. I strongly suggest that you hire a financial advisor, someone who can really take control of your finances. I know that there's a real do-it-yourself kind of mentality out there when it comes to some of this stuff, and I fall into that trap from time to time myself. But it's been my experience that if I just let somebody else do it, then it's their problem. I'm not worried about it. You know, I don't want to be checking the stock ticker and watching the news and trying to figure out what's going to happen next, you know, and freaking out over should I have bought that stock or not that stock. You know what I mean? So I strongly suggest, for your peace of mind and your sanity, for the vast majority of people, we just don't have the tolerance for that kind of stuff. So don't try doing it yourself. That's usually not a good thing. When it comes to your health, you're going to have to take some responsibility here. You cannot trust social media influencers to tell you the right way to eat. Okay? You're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to open your mind up to the entire spectrum, from one end to the other, of different kinds of information and different kinds of diets. And you need to research them and figure it out for yourself. I could tell you what I have learned myself, but that would rob you of the opportunity to figure it out. And I know a lot of you guys have strong ideas about it. You think you're right. So I implore you, I challenge you to take a look at the whole picture. Use Google Scholar. You know, you can search the top universities, the top research institutions, and find out what they're telling you. What you really want to look for are studies that involve lots of people, millions of people if you can find them, where they were able to measure outcomes, hard outcomes, like how many people died and how many people got sick. And they were able to monitor these people's diets pretty closely. I suggest you look at that, because once you do that, it's going to change your perspective on diet. Right now, I think that most Americans have conflated the idea that if a diet helps them lose weight, that it must be a healthy diet. Well, back in the 70s, they had this diet called the grapefruit diet or something like that. We ate nothing but grapefruit. Yeah, they did. People lost weight. They lost weight. Now they got sick. They were unhealthy, but they definitely lost weight. There's a guy, this has been done a few times, where people will eat nothing but junk food. Like one guy recently, I think it was last year or the year before, did nothing but go to McDonald's. Got all his food from McDonald's, everything. He ate every meal at McDonald's for like 3 months, and he lost a ton of weight. He did it by just eating half as much as he normally did. It was simple, he just cut calories. So weight loss and health are two different things. Yes, you do need to have a healthy weight in order to have a healthy body, but just because a diet helps you lose weight doesn't mean it's a healthy diet, okay? So just get clear on that. Your body has a lot of nutritional needs. This is a very complex organism that you own. Make sure you feed it with the good stuff. Don't just slam down half as much junk food as you used to and think because you lost weight that you're onto something, because you're not. You're just shortening your life, but you're doing it in a better looking body. You're gonna look really good in the coffin. They can do the open coffin, you know, to have them take your shirt off and they'll say, damn, he looks great. So let's get on to the good stuff here. Let's talk about relationships. This is what I've been telling a lot of the guys that I have been coaching lately when it comes to women and relationships. I think that the problem most guys have is, whether they realize it or not, there's a little bit of a scarcity mentality. So you're willing to settle for what you got rather than trying for what you want. And part of that, I think, is also because we don't really know what we want. We don't know what's available out there. We don't know what options are coming with the girls, you know? Like, what kind of options can I get, you know? How much more do I gotta pay? No, I'm just kidding. But you gotta create an avatar for the kind of person that you want. Now, what I mean by that is write down a list of their characteristics and then just keep writing and writing and writing. Think about, who is this person? What do they like doing? Where did they go to school? What kind of education do they have? What is their family like? What are their friends like? What is she like on social media? What is she, what kind of movies does she like? What are her preferences for food? What are her preferences for vacations? What are her preferences for sex? Write it all down. Just write it all down. You can include some physical characteristics in there if you want, if that helps you, but I don't think that's the most critical part of it. But you definitely need to get a picture of who this person is, because if you don't know what you're looking for, you won't know it when you find it. Too oftentimes, guys will get into situations with women that are really going badly, and I'll ask them to go through that exercise and write down all the characteristics of their ideal woman. What do they really, really want in a person, without regard for the person that they're with now? Don't even think about her. Just think about, what do you want? What are the characteristics you want? And then I have them write down the characteristics of the woman they're with. And more often than not, it doesn't take long for them to realize they're with the wrong woman, that she's just not right. She's not even close. She's nothing like the person that they want to be with. And yet, they've been with them for 5 or 10 years. So having clarity about what you want is critical in all areas of your life, women being the biggest one. Now, I'm not suggesting that you marry anybody, or if you find someone who's just perfect, if you find that unicorn, then do it, you know, if you think that's the right path for you. But I believe that it is much healthier to have a non-marital relationship that's very strong and committed. You know, it could be exclusive. It could be exclusive. But without the encumbrances of the legal system over your head, and probably without the inconveniences of having her live with you. As soon as a woman moves in with you, you are thinking, oh, this is going to be like this. She's going to be making me pancakes. I always use that example because no woman ever made me pancakes. You know, she's going to be having sex with me all the time. You know, we can be like lovey-dovey all, you know, 24/7. You know, it's going to be just like that. It is not like that. No, it is not like that. She's going to leave her hair in the shower. You know, she's going to complain about the temperature in the house. She's going to want money to go do stuff, to decorate your house. She's going to change shit. She's going to make it like her house. Next thing you know, your house is going to be her house. Yeah. And not only that, but when you're with someone all the time, when you're living with them all the time, the specialness kind of goes away. When you're in a romance, allow it to be a romance. Give it that role. Allow that to be the job of that relationship, to be a romance. You know, and it's about going out to dinners and shows and having fun and having sex, and then each of you going back to your own houses. That's what a romance is. Once she moves in, she's a roommate. That's a different R word. Yeah, roommates are not romantic. That is not nearly as much fun. I've had some roommates in my life. I did not have a romantic relationship with them. When my wife went from being a romance to being a roommate, the romance went away. Yeah. So it's just like roommate is not a romantic relationship. It never will be. It never can be. So just have that in your head. Keep your roommates and your romance separate. Recently, I was talking to a guy who's in his mid-40s. He's been in a relationship with a girl, a woman younger than him, for about 8 years, and their relationship is definitely at its end. He said that they exhaust each other. Like when they're together, it's just exhausting. And I know what that feeling is like, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. When you are just fed up with the relationship, it's just not right, and you know it. But there's a little part of him that wants to hang on to this relationship because he wants to have children. Ah, there's the trap right there, isn't it? Yeah, having babies. That's one of those things that so many of us want to do. And I think it's a great idea. I really do. But I don't think you should be sacrificing your entire life in order to have a baby, you know? And if staying in an unhealthy relationship that exhausts you is not the location where you want to plant a baby, you know what I mean? Because that baby is going to grow up in that hellish world, and you have done no one any favors. You are not going to enjoy that process at all. So what do you do? How do you have a baby without a woman? All right, here's what you do. You Google gestational surrogacy. You will find that there are hospitals and organizations all across the country that will help you with gestational surrogacy. This is where there's an egg donor, one person, there's a surrogate, the person who carries the baby, a second person, and there's a sperm donor. That's you. There's 3 parties to this whole organization, this situation. And of course, there's going to be a doctor who's going to do all this, test tube baby stuff. He's going to put this baby, this egg and the sperm together in a test tube and implant it in a surrogate. This is not a cheap thing. This is not going to be covered by your health insurance. Yeah, you cannot go to Kaiser and get this done, So you're going to have to pay out of pocket between $100,000 and $200,000 to get this done for each child that you want. So you're going to have your money right, no question about it. In the same way that having a financial advisor is important to protect your wealth, having a social advisor might be important too. Now, what I'm talking about here is like a best friend, someone that you can count on to give you their unvarnished opinion, so that when you get involved with a woman or you get involved in some kind of a situation, you've got someone who can see it from the outside, who can remove all that ooey gooey stuff, get that glazed donut thought out of your head, and start talking to you about what's really happening. I strongly suggest that you dedicate some time and energy to a relationship with another guy. I know that sounds kind of weird. I'm not like that. I'm just telling you, I don't go that way, but I'm serious. You definitely need to have some male companionship in your life. You need to have a man to hold you accountable to the things that you are telling yourself about Life 2.0 and what you want for yourself. Because inevitably, we have our moments of weakness. We all do. Like I said, I see those glazed donuts. I want to reach for one from time to time. But so far, I have noticed that I am able to stop myself. And if I can't, I've got someone I can call, and say, hey man, what do you think? And inevitably he'll say, are you fucking out of your mind? Are you crazy? You're going to give up all that you have just to be with this girl? Really? She's got tons of problems, man. Why the hell would you want that girl in your life? Yeah, she's hot. Yeah, she seems nice. But really? Really? No. No, 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 no. There is nothing more valuable than your peace in your life. Let me just say that again. There is nothing more valuable than having peace in your life. When I was a kid, I used to fantasize about running away from home with my best friend. Not because we had terrible lives. We were just middle-class kids living in normal middle-class, working-class neighborhood. We just wanted to live our lives freely, autonomously. We wanted to be our authentic selves. We wanted to live Life 2.0 right from the beginning at age 12 or 13. Getting out from underneath the yoke of our mothers. That's what we wanted. We wanted to get away from it all. We wanted to have some freedom, some justice, if you will. Yeah. It's funny how we give it all away so easily, isn't it? After thinking about it, I believe that what probably is most important about Life 2.0 is the authentic part. Each one of us sees Life 2.0 differently, and what it means to us is different. So there's really no way I can tell you about Life 2.0. I can tell you my experience with it. As I was saying earlier, as a kid I wanted to run away from home because I wanted the sense of freedom that came with that. I wanted that feeling of being an adult. I wanted to feel like I had some control. Life 2.0 is that dream answered. It's like I've run away from home. It's like I am one of the lost boys in a way, I have this magical world that I live in that is designed specifically by me, for me, and it fulfills my needs. Where before I felt like I was always living in someone else's world. And I hope that's what Life 2.0 means to you too. I hope that Life 2.0 is an experience that you've wanted all along. That somewhere it was lying dormant inside you. And after you got past the idea that your wife was leaving and she's gone and you've mourned it and you've been through that whole recovery process, and you've established yourself with a frame, and you see yourself with goals and a vision for your own life, and you know what your boundaries are, and you know what the threats are to Life 2.0, you understand what those glazed donuts really mean, well then, it's just you and your imagination and whatever you can do with it. What does it mean to you? What do you want this life to be? Because now, for the first time, probably in your life, you have the opportunity to make it that. For me, it was all of this. It was this little stream that runs near my house and this little patch of woods that runs for a few miles. That's given me a sense of appreciation, not for the woods themselves or for the stream or the sounds or any of that stuff, but for life. I have an appreciation for just being here. I have an appreciation for just being in a physical body at this time in history, and having the opportunity to meet people and have fun and influence the world and put my imprint on it. So I hope that's what Life 2.0 is for you too. You can do with it what you will. The world is literally your oyster. If you look for opportunities, they will appear. If you look for obstacles, they will appear. So keep your head up. Look for those opportunities. Avoid those obstacles. For me, Life 2.0 was a revelation. It helped me understand just how enjoyable life could actually be. Before this, it felt like I was living in a constant state of pain. These last 5 or 6 years have been delightful. Now, there have been some challenges, there have been some struggles, there's no question about it. But in comparison to the 22 years before that, or at least most of them, these last 5 or 6 years have been a dream vacation that I never thought I could experience in this lifetime. And I hope that you guys find the same as I did. Just because some woman doesn't want you in her life, just because you're getting divorced, doesn't mean you can't live a rich, fulfilling life. And that is Life 2.0. All right, that's all I got for you today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe. If you know someone who might benefit from this information, please share it with them. Till next time, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.